Hey everybody, this is Yoked, where we are teaching women that a godly marriage is not just about quoting scripture, but it's about living scripture even before you get the ring. So if you're just now joining, my name is Catherine, and we are, for the month of April, talking about how travel is a way to be intentional about dating, being intentional about figuring out who you are and who your partner is before you actually get married. And I see my hubby's watching. Hey, hon. So this week I've been talking about solo travel and the things that I've learned from solo travel, and talking about a couple of different trips that I've been on. I didn't do a video yesterday, and I know for shame. I was supposed to be doing this every day, but being completely honest and just keeping it real, I had a rough day yesterday and I did not have the bandwidth to do a video, so I did not post a video yesterday. But that's okay, because I am here now. So the blog post that I shared yesterday was all about my trip to Haiti and what I learned on that trip and how it kind of changed me. So just hopefully quickly, I wanted to share with you 4 things that I learned when I went to Haiti and how I learned those things. The first thing I learned was that serving is a ministry. Serving is actually the ministry. If you look at who Jesus was and what he did here while on earth, he was a servant. His whole purpose for being here was to show people how to reach others and to share the gospel through serving. And it, people think about serving, you think about, being in servitude, and that's really not what it is. Serving others is doing things for others to, help show them compassion and grace. It helps you to work on your own humility and your own patience and forgiveness. When I went to Haiti, we worked for this orphanage called Servants of All Ministry, and it was a Christian orphanage based in Grand Guave, Haiti. And we went about 6 months after the huge earthquake of 2010. Over 200,000 people lost their lives in that earthquake. And even 8 years later, there's still a very significant part of that country's population who haven't returned to their homes. Their new sense of normal is, living in tents outside, because tents can't, collapse and fall on you and hurt you the same way that a concrete structure can. So, that's kind of where they're living and how they're living now. So yes, the first thing I learned that, serving is truly a ministry. We, throw around a lot of times that we are the hands and feet of Jesus, but we don't often put that into practice. So I was able to do that when I went to Haiti. It was actually a really cool experience. The second thing I learned was that self-care is very important. We were doing construction in Haiti, so there was a lot of stuff that we were, building and fixing and repairing. Our project when we were there was actually to rebuild a concrete wall that was around the entire orphanage. And anybody knows me, I love DIY stuff. I love to build things. I have like my whole, my own set of tools. So I was totally in my element, being in Haiti and doing construction work. And I love the heat, so I just, being outside and being hot has never really bothered me. But on this particular trip, it did, because I kept working and working and working, and the next thing I knew, I was standing outside in 100-degree weather and shivering like I had the flu and freaking out. I didn't know what was wrong. Turns out I had heat exhaustion because I was working outside, staying outside in the hot temperatures too long, and not drinking enough water. So the second thing I learned, self-care is very important. When people, close to you see that you're working really hard and tell you to rest, you should rest. And I say this knowing that my husband is watching, and this is our daily argument, is that I have to rest. And especially when your body is telling you you need to rest and your body is telling you to stop, you need to listen. The third thing that I learned was that learning another person's language is really helpful when you're trying to communicate with them. One of the funny parts of this trip was that it was a missions trip to Haiti, and I was the only black woman on the trip. And if you haven't noticed, I kind of have dark skin. And all of my other, church members, they're all white. And we went to Haiti and we met the kids at this orphanage. And some of the kids thought that I was Haitian. And they got really upset with me because I would not speak to them in Creole, which is the Haitian language. Because they thought that I was Haitian and I was just kind of being, I guess, uppity or something because I wouldn't speak the native tongue and I was only speaking in English. And I had to convince them that I was an American, that I was not Haitian, and I did not understand what they were saying to me. Like, I spoke a little bit of French, but it wasn't sufficient to communicate. And when we finally talked, the way that I convinced them, they kept asking me where my parents were from. They just knew at some point I had left Haiti and moved to America. So we talked and they figured out that I was actually an American. And I asked them, I said, have you never seen a black missionary before? And one of the kids said, yeah, but you're really black. And crickets. I was like, okay, yes, there are dark-skinned Americans that exist, which they did not know. They just thought everybody that had dark skin and looked like them was Haitian because they're Haitian kids. But yeah, so we kind of laughed about that, and I let them, teach me a couple of key phrases so that I could communicate better, so that we would have, develop a closer bond and have a better experience while we were there. And the last thing that I learned that I want to share was that I learned to be grateful. These kids that we went to minister to, they had literally lost everything. They were already orphans, and they had now lost their home. They didn't have very many clothes. They didn't have running water. But even when we landed there and got to the orphanage on that Sunday, they were in, worship service. They were having church, and they were still singing and praising and just very grateful for what they did have. The fact that they were alive and still had breath to sing and praise, and, another day and something else to live for. So that was, an incredibly humbling thing for me to see them and to see all of their joy, despite essentially what we would consider having nothing. So because this is a Christian relationship and marriage ministry, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about Haiti? The things that I learned in Haiti actually helped to prepare me for marriage, and I didn't know at the time that God was preparing me for this phase of my life. I learned things there that still to this day help me to have an amazing marriage. So if you want to know what going on a missions trip to Haiti taught me about marriage, you got to go over to the blog, and I'll share 4 things there that traveling to Haiti taught me about marriage. I'll post the link in the comments below, so make sure you go over and check it out. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll plan to see you tomorrow. Bye.